Synthaholics.
New file has started.
A new file has started.
Yes.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today you have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and David Duncan. Hey, Dave, what's happening?
Hey, so, I don't know what is happening, actually. I forgot to actually talk to you about this before we started recording, but did you see the news that supposedly Paramount's like, yeah, no, we're not making Star Trek movies anymore. And then, like, the very next day, it's like, yeah, no, we are making Star Trek movies, even though there's, like, 16 of them in limbo.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw that, and I was... First, when I saw it, I was sort of just like, okay, this is probably just like, you know, what do they call it? Not the Phantom Menace, what do they call it? The haters of all that shit.
Like the Doomcocks.
The fandom menace.
Fandom menace, yes.
Yeah.
Like the Doomcocks and everything.
Yeah, I just assumed it was that, and then I saw that they kind of like changed it. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but
yeah, I didn't see anything to the addendum. It's just the fandom menace. Just so much misinformation going out about Star Trek and Star Wars and everything. Although I think the Paramount Plus thing is true, but like I said, like many a times, Doomcock reports on everything, and will put his negative spin on it if it's true or not. So it's hard to know. There's a YouTuber named Ketawalski. I think that's how you say his name. He did this video where he basically talked about he set up all this false information for fake Star Trek rumors and put it all over 4chan. And Doomcock, and like it got picked up, and apparently how 4chan works is that the more people that reiterate the information, the more it's considered true. Yeah. Even, I don't know why.
It makes no sense.
I don't understand why that's the logic, but anyway, like there was several fake articles Ketawalski planted that were just he manufactured them, or he and some friends of his manufactured them, and then they got circulated through 4chan enough so that Doomcock picked them up, reported on them because he reports on everything, and then claimed his other sources, confirmed this information that was clearly false. So he has no other sources. All his sources are 4chan, and he's got his imaginary, people that just confirm everything that he reads on 4chan, so it sounds like he's got multiple sources, and so it's just really funny that this guy is just so full of he's just full of hate, and that's all he does is just hate on things with no.
The same thing with Midnight's Edge too. I find Midnight's Edge so bizarre that they report everything in a negative light. They never actually just say hey, we don't know much about the show, or but they just make all this insinuation.
Well, they're all best friends. Doomcock and Midnight's Edge, because Midnight's Edge will reference Doomcock, and Doomcock will reference Midnight's Edge, so they're like, and they claim they have some of the same sources and some different sources, so seems like it's all 4chan stuff, and granted, some of their Star Wars stuff did come true, but like I said, he reported on every single rumor there was about Star Wars.
So it's like
episode 9. So it's
you hit a broken clock is right twice a day or something like that.
Yeah. Even a broken clock can strike, can be right twice a day. So I mean, just because he reports on everything, it just means that something might be true eventually that he says.
Right.
So it's just kind of crazy, all this stuff going on, and it's just so annoying seeing all these articles and having to do all this extra searching. And I didn't do a lot of extra searching. I just passively saw these things pass through my feed. So apparently, I mean, as far as I know, they haven't stopped making Star Trek movies. I mean, they're still theoretically on the table. Which, I mean, I mean, it's been years since Star Trek Beyond. So they basically stopped making Star Trek movies as it is. I think we're basically waiting for them to start making them again. So,
right.
So I guess we'll just wait and see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love to see Carl Urban and Zachary Quinto come back, because they've been a lot of fun. Although the new guy who's writing says his story doesn't involve Kirk or Picard, so it's going to be just some spin-off Star Trek story, I guess. So who knows?
I mean, which might be interesting too. You're not really giving the audience anything to jump onto unless it's like a really fantastic story. My issue is more is like all these like sites that just spin all the hate. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, some people have labeled us haters just because we don't love every little bit of Discovery or Picard, but our stuff is more of like not just hate. We don't hate just because of it. We have issues with the storylines that they provide for us.
I mean, I'm a huge canon guy and story guy. I want things to line up with canon, and I want the story to be good. And if the story's not good, I will say what I think. If you listen to any of our episodes, but any of the old episodes of Star Trek, I mean,
we talk about shit a lot about other Star Trek episodes.
I mean,
doesn't mean we don't love them.
We've literally done worst of the worst episodes. And the thing is, I mean, some bad episodes can be guilty pleasures. I mean, like, If Wishes Were Horses is one of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever. But for whatever reason, maybe it's Rumpelstiltskin or whatever, it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I kind of like watching it, even though it's just so bad. You know what I mean? And then because it's just like, it doesn't really break canon. It's just kind of stupid. Where then you've got other.
I like Spock's brain. I think that's a terrible episode, but I love watching it.
Yeah. See, so I mean, there's different things like that, But then then there's episodes like Threshold, which like just break Star Trek. I mean, they kind of break Star Trek canon. They just introduce the dumbest type of canon. If you accelerate to warp 10, you turn into a lizard. I'm like, but warp isn't acceleration.
Right.
It's you're warping space around you. That's the whole point. That's why you don't have time dilation in Star Trek.
Well, part of it's acceleration. It's just that you're using the space to warp you, so you don't have to deal with time and the flight issues where you break down into energy particles. I guess that's where we're coming from, and that's some people have like shit on us in the past, but whatever. It's like, it's our podcast. We say what we want, and it's how we feel about it. It's like there's plenty of episodes of Discovery that we did like. There was parts where we just felt the stories were either falling apart or just was like shabby writing. And same thing with Picard. We came in with the highest hopes on all these episodes, all these series.
And the thing is, like, Picard, as mediocre as I said the first 6-7 episodes were, like, if they would have took a hard left turn on those invading robot things, or if like this was like Conspiracy Part 2, like coming back all this time and that's why everyone was acting weird, I would have been so sold on it. You know what I mean? Like, if it was the bug aliens controlling everyone, making Starfleet evil again, I would have been like so excited that this was like coming back. I think that would have, it was a slow burn to get started, but like, if we're going into this hard, or if we're going into like the Mass Effect, like the alien robots are going to come wipe out the galaxy, we've got to, rally the galaxy to fight as one against this awful thing coming. Like, that could have been fun and interesting, but they just threw away all the fun plot lines they could have used, and it was just bland to me. And that's why I didn't like it, because the story just wasn't, it just wasn't exciting enough for me. It just wasn't good in my eyes.
Yeah. I think I'm not as harsh as you, but there were definitely lacking parts, especially in Picard, for how good it could have been. I think they didn't quite hit the mark. And this, like I said, there's some shabby writing in there for sure. That could have been. It just could have been way better executed in my mind. And it wouldn't have taken a lot either. We're just talking like fixing up some issues with like the story arcs and some of the character arcs and stuff like that. I think could have made it so much better. And maybe some of that has to do with what was left on the editing floor too, on the episodes too, for some of those issues. So
Could be. I mean, like,
But if
it's been done before. Arrested Development was season 4, or whichever the first one that came to Netflix. It was kind of terrible, and then they went back and re-edited them, and they were a lot more watchable after the re-edit. So, I mean, maybe they'll do the same thing with Picard. Maybe they can do a Picard re-edit and make it work better.
Well, you can look back at our Picard reviews if you like. They're a couple episodes back, maybe a good 50 issues or episodes or 20 episodes back. I can't quite remember how long ago it was since we last covered Picard.
But I think most of their point is just like, we don't hate on Star Trek just to hate on it, like all these the Fandom Menace people. We are not part of the Fandom Menace in any way, shape, or form. We just want to give your honest opinion as two diehard Star Trek fans. That's literally all we're trying to do. Like, yeah, and all of our lower decks have been pretty positive. Like I said, I point out the canon things, and I'm like, I wish they didn't do that. But all in all, Lower Decks has been a fantastic show.
And we were into, like, especially the beginning of second season Discovery. I remember enjoying it.
Yeah, the first couple episodes were great,
and then it kind of like fell apart for me. So, but yeah, whatever. I'm third season's coming up. I'm keeping an open mind. I'm trying not to get myself boxed in. I'm just going to like watch it and just try to absorb it and see if I like it without prejudice. So,
I mean, if we got a whole lot more Tig, it's going to be a lot easier to like it.
Oh, I would love more Tig. Yeah, she'd be great.
I mean, just her sparring with her vocal sparring with Stamets is some of the most standout parts of season 2.
I wish they had more of her. Yeah, she's so good.
If season 3 became the Stamets and Tig show, that would be pretty great. It's like
they should just do a whole spin-off of that.
Is it like Pinky and the Brain at Stamets and Tig? The Stamets and the Tig. One is a genius, the other's insane.
Which one's which?
They're both kind of both.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, this episode, guys, we're talking about the Star Trek Lower Decks episode Veritas. And this is Season 1, Episode 8, and it premiered September 24th, 2020. Really weird episode compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
Jumps around a lot.
It does jump around a lot, but also, like, it's very reminiscent of the Klingon scene in Star Trek
Trial,
6.
Star Trek 6. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
but
totally.
But it wasn't Klingons. I'm not sure why they invoked such Klingon-y visuals for something that wasn't Klingon.
Yeah, they're called Ketuvan Prime. This is where they're at, and they're we start off the episode with Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford getting thrown into like a prison cell,
into the dungeon,
and Boimler is worried that he's going to miss his pottery class, and
0900 man.
And Tendi was wondering if it's the replication of ice that got him in trouble, and then Boimler says, like, I saw the senior staff get taken in another room, and Mariner says, well, obviously we're in some kind of prison or dungeon, and he says it's much better than a prison, a Klingon prison cell. And says, you have no idea what they do to you in there. So
it's like this is a resort compared to a Klingon cell,
right? And then so they bring them. They're in that dark room, and they're brought up, like you said, like just like in Star Trek 6, into the whole look like a trial area. And
they've got the middle dais. They've got the guy with the gavel ball in his arm. They got the lighting set up just like it.
Yeah, it looks exactly like it, to tell you the truth, except the aliens look different.
Well, they're not Klingons. Yeah.
Right. So they have to give their testimony to this, it seems like a lawyer or litigator named Clar, and the senior staff of the Cerritos are all like up in some suspension beam, watching down on them, not saying anything, not
no
doing
expression.
Anything.
They're just looks like they're stuck or frozen.
And they have to testify through this horn of candor.
The horn of candor.
Through the truth. Yeah.
Where's the little kid? I guess he's not born yet.
That's funny. So he this Clara wants Mariner to testify what happened on Cerritos on this on the certain star date.
Oh, I love how at first the guy's like, you can only speak the truth through this because it's our most treasured relic, and Rutherford's like, so glad to be here.
Yeah, I know. Like, happy to be here. She's like, yeah, are you? So it starts off when Mariner recounts that they're in the repair bay of the Cerritos, and they're like talking. And the funny thing, they're talking about who's the biggest badass, and Mariner brings up Khan again. She keeps on bringing up Khan. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, she likes his man chest.
And Boimler brings up that Ragar Dangar from what is it? The what's it called?
Next Gen?
Next Gen episode, The Hunted. That's what he brings up, is some guy that outwitted Picard. I barely remember this episode.
I don't remember this episode at all. I'd have to like pull it up. I have not got a chance to rewatch it, but yeah, it's an episode that I don't recall at all.
Right. Yeah. So it's just funny. But yeah, it's like. So he was like thinking that's was biggest badass, and she's kind of making fun of him because of it. But then there's a red alert, but Rutherford said, no, that can't be truth. I turned up the
volume,
the speakers real loud if there was a red alert, but unfortunately he must have done the exact opposite and totally turned it off. So there's a red alert, everyone's running around outside, but they can't hear it in their in the repair bay. So they have to run up to the bridge, and Boimler's all worried because, it's like, oh, we're late, and there's this red alert, and the captain's going to ask, and he's just play it off. Don't even just agree with everything the captain says, and don't worry. And so they get over there, and they ask, like, captain says, what should we do about this issue they're facing with some other alien ship with some bug creature or some sort on there?
Yeah, because the bug creature gave them a map, and it's very upset that they thanked them for it.
Yeah, he showed gratitude for it.
How dare you show gratitude?
And so the Clickets, that's what they're called, the Clickets. And they said they asked Boimler, like, what should we do? There's no wrong answers. And he like says like some like move or something like that, or some and like they're like, is he serious?
Maneuver 80.
Like some crazy and then he brings up Crazy Ivan, which I think is a Hunt for Red October maneuver. Yeah, it's a Hunt for Red October thing. It's
also a Firefly reference.
Is it?
Yeah, in the first episode of Firefly, they pull a Crazy Ivan where they turn one of the engines backwards, so it'll do a 180 spin and then turn it back around, so they can just do like basically a 180 in the sky.
Yeah, it says Crazy Ivan was a maneuver developed by submarines wherein a vessel did a 180-degree turn, potential dangerous speed to view the target and its stern. So you just kind of spin around real quick.
Oh yeah, basically it's the same thing in Firefly. To let you spin around.
So. And then Captain Freeman tells Mariner to send the Clickets a message, and so she just shoots the phasers at them.
Yeah, she shoots the phaser off the bow.
She said, what did you mean? I said, invite him for dinner. And he's like, what else did you mean by sending a message?
Gotta be more specific.
And so we're back in the, what's it called, the testimony room or whatever, courtroom, and they're like, It's like, what is all this? It's like, this is like, you have no idea what we're talking about. We want to know about this map. And he goes, we don't have maps. We have stellar cartography.
This is irrelevant.
And so he's going to put her and Mariner into this tank of eels because she's not telling him the stories that he wants. So Rutherford is going to tell exactly what happens to him since he has a cybernetic implant and he has perfect memory. And he wants to know what happens at this certain star date, but Rutherford's like, you're not going to like what I have to tell you what happens on the star date. So,
any other star dates you want to hear about?
I got other ones you could hear about. No, I want to hear about this one. So I thought this was probably the most funniest one. Rutherford.
Oh yeah, this is pretty great.
some EPS capacitors, and when Lieutenant Shax and Commander Billups show up, and they want to use his implants for Romulan flight manuals and repair information, but Rutherford said, I have to do an update, but I only do that when I sleep because it does things that upset my functioning. And they're like, well, you have to do it now. So he does it, and he goes offline. He just faints. So he doesn't even know what happens. And all of a sudden, after he's doing the update, he wakes up and he's on he's on Vulcan, and there's like this Romulan bird of prey.
And they're trying to steal it. They ask him to do the fan dance.
Which is great.
He was also wearing way too many clothes to doing the fan dance, though.
I know, but it's great, and he doesn't even know. But then he goes and he blanks out again while he's doing the fan dance. And then he wakes up and he's in his like a spacesuit, and he's just floating out in space. But then he sees that Billups out there, and he has nitrogen, like too much nitrogen, and he's kind of like gonna die if he doesn't get him inside soon. And he realizes he's on top of the Romulan bird of prey,
and it's cloaked.
So he can't see anything. But there is a one of those like Vulcan warp sleds that what's his name, that Spock rode in the motion picture.
Yeah.
So
well, there was a lot of fun things because in the background of Vulcan, when they were hijacking the ship, they also had in the background they had the Vulcan ship that landed in First Contact in the background.
Oh yeah, some cool stuff there. So yeah, and they have to. He gets Billups onto the ship, but then he blacks out again, and then he wakes up on a desert planet in the middle of a Gorn wedding, and the Gorn starts chewing on his arms.
And then he faints again with an update, and then he wakes back up. Also, he's still getting chewed on.
He's like, I'm still in the Gorn wedding, and then Claire wakes up, stops him, and he goes, "What the hell is going on?" And it's like, so. And then Boimler's wondering why they were stealing a bird of prey and all that. So they don't even understand what's going on. So then Rutherford is held over the tank of eels as well, and then Tendi, who gets told to tell her testimony. She doesn't want to say anything because everything she did was classified.
Black Ops, yeah.
So
she got to wear the black outfit.
Yeah, Tendi was got the task of cleaning the conference room, and somehow she got roped into this Black Ops operation with the commander and then a bunch of other like buff Black Ops kind of guys, and they're the ones who steal the bird of prey, and they end up going up against a bunch of warbirds too. They're scanning for them.
They're being scanned. No, stop. Be quiet. Are we being scanned again?
And then they go onto this Romulan facility where they sneak onto, and this is where Tendi like kicks a bunch of Romulan asses using some martial arts, and they steal some kind of weird box, which from this Romulan facility, and then, they have like kind of like, oh, Tendi, you're so awesome. You'd be getting an accommodation if this wasn't all like,
off the record.
So secret. Yeah, so secret. So, and then this, we're back into the, what's it called? The trial room. And this Clara's like, this is, you single-handedly took on a bunch of Romulan guards that were armed. And she's like, yeah, okay.
I don't believe you.
And finally, Boimler is going to tell what he knew, and because he doesn't want to see his friends being killed in the tank of eels, and he's like, basically he brings out that he says, we don't know what happened here. We have no idea. We're lower decks. We're not given any information. Everything's
a need to know basis, and we never need to know.
And this is where we find out that and Claire gets even more upset. He's like, "You're supposed to be Starfleet. You're supposed to know that be the best of the best." He goes, "Yeah, it's true, but we just don't know, and like we don't know what the executive staff is doing most of the time, and what the missions are about." So,
but you're Starfleet. You're supposed to know everything. You're the best of the best.
And then we get your Q show up. And Q shows up and turns them all into like what's it called?
Chess pieces.
Chess pieces, yeah.
But they're fighting against, but their opponents are giant cards, like from Alice in Wonderland.
Cards,
and then like a soccer ball falls, but it's got arms and legs. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and he's making them fight for humanity again. It's just like, don't you have anything new to do, Q?
I know, it's great. And then the Doctor. Tiana goes against, accidentally boards the Alhambra, USS Alhambra, which mistook it for the Cerritos in a parallel universe. So they all look similar, but not quite. It's kind of funny, actually.
And even the human doctor looks just like the cat, except it's human.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and then he just brings up that he says Boimler tells him that the bridge crew is not infallible heroes and that they're explorers and they don't know everything. It's a part of their job. And he said Picard didn't know about the Borg when he first encountered them. Kirk didn't know about the giant Spocks on Phylos. Dr. Crusher didn't know about the entity that her grandmother's lamp was shacking up with each other. So. It's pretty funny, and then he just goes, drumhead or something like that. He says, it's pretty good.
Lots of pretty good references.
Yeah, a lot of really good references, and then.
He also mentions the time where First Officer Ransom was dating a salt monster, salt vampire.
Yeah. It's like, that salt vampire. It's like they've been extinct. Like, okay.
For 100 years.
Yeah. So then we find out that this Claire is actually not having a trial. This is like his birthday party, and he was celebrating. And he finds out later that this was who Tindy rescued in that box. He was in some kind of like cryogenic freeze
Stasis
or something
box.
like that.
Yeah.
And he was prisoner from the Romulans for over a year, and they rescued him. And for his 100th birthday, he was going to, or not his 100th birthday, but for his birthday, they were going to. Do this whole thing where they were like going to recant what happened, and it was going to be written in this history stone. But the lower decks guys all messed it up because they didn't know fucking anything. And he's all upset. And then there's another birthday coming in the next 20 minutes, and they have to leave.
He only scheduled us for 22 minutes.
And then they were like, "What do you mean this is a birthday party? This looks like a trial. You're going to throw us into this thing with eels." So it's pretty funny.
And what was all this about testifying?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then Captain Freeman says in the future that she'll try to keep the people more informed, and then they just realize that they can't because they can't tell them everything that happened.
Dismissed.
Yeah, and so she dismisses him. And then Mariner runs into Q again with everybody, and she tells him to go bother Picard.
And he's like, Picard's no fun. All he does is make wine and turn into a robot. No, he doesn't say turn into a robot, but he should have.
And quote William Shakespeare, yeah. So that was the end of the episode. Dave, what was your thoughts about this episode?
This is an interesting one. Finally, good to see Q come back. Although I wish he had a more prominent part, and I wish it was a little bit different than just his standard, like, oh, you're on trial for humanity again. Like, it'd be nice if he had a different like set of pranks for like different Starfleet officers. Because that was his stick with Picard, and then he came in Voyager. His stick on Voyager was like, Janeway, you must sleep with me, and I'll take you home. He wasn't trying to like put humanity on trial with Voyager.
Right.
But then on the Cerritos, he's back to putting humanity on trial. I was hoping he'd have a new way to mess with them or whatever on the Cerritos.
Yeah,
I don't know. I felt that was a little bit redundant with him, so I was a little bit disappointed in the way they used him. I'm surprised John Delancey looked at the script and was like, yeah, because it was so derivative of everything else Q had kind of done before.
Yeah, but he just shows up. He lends his voice for like what, maybe an hour at most, and then he's out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Makes a check.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I was just hoping for a little bit more from Q. I was excited to see him come back, and it was a little bit underwhelming. The Q cameo, but I mean, it's Lower Decks. It's been pretty funny. Like the callbacks in this episode are probably some of the funnier ones. Like the Salt Vampire was great. Like all the times they reference all the Starfleet officers like making mistakes. It's like, man, they're looking at the Enterprise a lot. Like I can't, but like Beverly Crusher must have the hardest time showing her face anywhere because they know that she's shacked up with the ghost that shacked up with her grandmother. I mean, that's I mean, like she's got to be so embarrassed going anywhere. This is like kind of great. This was probably the funniest episode so far to me because a lot of the callbacks were just really, really well done.
Yeah, there are a lot of good callbacks.
And they were funny callbacks. Like they were using the Star Trek lore in in a funny way. And this is kind of what I've been waiting for with Lower Decks, like using it. I mean, because some of them have been done a little bit, but this episode did more how I was expecting the show to in general. So I think this is probably my favorite episode, just for the funniest episode to me. What are your thoughts?
I liked it. I felt it. I mean, obviously the nature of this episode was going to jump around. Rutherford's story was probably the funniest to me. Just how he jumped around and didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought the Tendi thing was a little bizarre, just that she could take on all those Romulan soldiers, but whatever, it's just a cartoon. So, it just, really well done. Like you said, the references are great. Like just the giant Spock on Phylos. Is awesome.
So many like callbacks like to the animated series.
Animated series, yeah, thrown in there again. It's just really well done. And this is obviously the second time we've seen a Romulan bird of prey from the classic Star Wars, or Star Trek.
Go ahead.
No, it's just like it's weird that they keep on throwing that back in there.
Yeah, they love the classic Romulan bird. Yeah, because we had it in Picard, and now it's in Lower Decks. I am curious, like since they keep making, I really want them to reference the life support belt and like explain why it was discontinued, and like because they've been throwing all this other crazy stuff, from the animated series and like canonizing it all. That's one of my big issues with the animated series. That belt thing. I want them to reference that.
Yeah. I mean, that might come up. I'm sure it's a possibility
because it's so ridiculous. I mean, like the giant Spock was pretty ridiculous. So they're walking outside in just a belt thing.
The belt could just honestly just be a way to put atmosphere in there, and they put a shield around them, but it can't be really that stable in the end. You know, because you have to like pump air into it. So
very short duration things, yeah. Because they're always using spacesuits in TNG and Voyager and whatnot. So.
Oh, yeah. Definitely did not work well. But, yeah, it's fun. It's still fun episodes. I'm loving all of these. There's never been one I've watched and I just thought was stupid. I didn't want to watch it.
So we got two more. Do you think that's going to be a two-parter? Because the way the previews for the next one, it seemed like it could be a bigger story than what we've gotten so far.
I guess it's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, I want. It would make more sense if they did, because I don't think they'll leave it on a cliffhanger for this. Because who knows? I mean, I'm assuming we get a second season of Lower Decks, but it doesn't mean that we're going to that they know exactly what they're going to do with it.
Well, I mean, Discovery Season 2, the last two episodes were like a two-parter. Same thing with Picard. It was like a two-parter, like cliffhanger thing from episode 9 to episode 10. So what if we do the same thing with Lower Decks? We got like a two-part episode for this too. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, I haven't done any reading up on it. I don't know what the title is, because usually the title might be a giveaway if it's like part one. But
right.
just the preview gave me the sense that it might be a bigger story. So, but I mean, they've been doing a lot in 22 minutes. Like this episode, like you said, it jumped around us so much, and the episodes have all been pretty short. So I mean, like they're doing a really good job doing a lot in not a whole lot of time.
I was going to say I think I'm going to be a little sad when Lower Decks is over for this season because I really have enjoyed it, and I think it's hit all the marks that I think I wanted to see for an animated series that was going to be kind of comedy based.
Uh-huh.
I think they got everything that I could possibly have wanted. They got all the references, all the old old episodes being brought up and like little things peppered in, but also just like the irreverency and just the silliness that animation can do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part I'm going to miss all that, and and then we go into Discovery, which the hard time I have with Discovery, and Picard, honestly, has just been like the bleakness to everything with it. It's like they're not telling hopeful stories. You're kind of telling like these like stories where everything's shitty around them, And the only thing that's good in those is actually the crew itself. And some of the crew's not even that well put together anyways.
Yeah.
Especially with Picard. So in Lower Decks, everyone's kind of a goofy mess, but they're not like super fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, Lower Decks has been good. I the only thing I'm missing, I was really hoping it would be slightly more raunchy, being like from Rick and Morty. I was waiting for like a little bit, I don't know, like jokes to hit a little bit harder, a little bit in some ways. Just given that it had some of the Rick and Morty stuff behind it. That's the only thing I'm kind of missing from the show and what I was kind of expecting from when they launched it. But overall, it's been pretty good. And like I said, this episode had some great references for humor punchlines, which was great. I am going to miss it too because this has been the best Star Trek CBS All Access has given us in 3 years, and it's just 10 episodes, and they're only 22 minutes apiece. I mean, it's half as long as Picard was.
Yeah. So, I guess it's more. I love because even though these characters are a bit flawed, they're all hopeful. They all want to, besides Mariner, they want to like advance in their careers and do better. So Mariner still wants to do good. She just doesn't care about advancement.
Oh, actually,
and,
go ahead.
No, but that's the part I like, and that's maybe I'm hoping that we'll see in Strange New Worlds, that we'll see still that hopefulness behind everything.
Yeah, that would be nice. I guess the one other thing I'm missing is we still haven't gotten like a Tendi heavy episode. We haven't gotten much Orion lore or anything. It seems like everyone's gotten like a pretty focused episode except for her.
Yeah, we don't really know much about her, and we don't even know how the Orion Syndicate. Was it sooner or later like dismantled and came into the Federation, or how did that work? Or
I don't remember from Deep Space Nine. I think they were still like doing crime,
or maybe Orions can just join, Starfleet if they're,
if they're on the run from the Syndicate or whatever.
Or maybe not on the run, but maybe they just like, hey, we don't want to be. I don't want to be part of the Syndicate. I want to join Starfleet, kind of thing. So I mean, that's a possibility too. Just like Nog joined Starfleet.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that was definitely a missed opportunity if the Run Syndicate's still a thing, because they could be a good big bad for Picard, since they're kind of like super shady out there.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see them pop up.
More Ferengi.
Yeah. Although I think the Ferengi joined the Federation at the end of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, do they? Okay.
I think so. It's been a while since I've watched the ending of Deep Space Nine. But that seemed like it was kind of going that way for the Ferengi at the end of that. Yeah, it's just, this show has done such a good job at doing, like, it definitely seems like Mariner's kind of the main character. Like, everything kind of revolves around her a little bit, but it's still like an ensemble show where you get like, Rutherford, you get Boimler and all the stuff going on with them, and then you still get some decent time with the Bridge Crew. I mean, Shax is awesome. He's just always like so mad and so angry. But I mean, that's kind of how Hero was, always mad and angry. So I mean, it's pretty apropos for the Bajorans.
Even Worf.
Yeah.
Even Worf.
Yeah.
And I love the Dr. Tiana. It's just so funny. Just, like the beginning, like Tendy's like doing the getting all the cat hair off the seats.
Oh yeah. She had the lint roller.
It's so funny, It's just I don't know. It's just like I just think these guys are like just knocking it out of the park with these like all these characters, and like there's nobody I don't like to see. Like nobody I roll my. There's no what's his name from Discovery. I can't remember his name right now.
Saru?
No, I like Saru. The freaking boyfriend.
Colbert?
Dipshit.
Oh,
Colbert?
Ash Tyler.
Ash Tyler, yeah, Tyler, yeah. I blocked his name.
You blocked his name,
head.
yeah. Well, he shouldn't be in. I mean, I guess he could do flashbacks because Michael Burnham will probably have flashbacks to them doing stuff.
Remember when I loved him so much?
Remember when we went to the holodeck and made him look like a Klingon and we had sex at one time? Yeah, that was great. I don't know. Like these episodes have been 22 minutes long, and they've done a better job at showing an ensemble show than Discovery's done with hour-long episodes. Yeah. I really hope that they pull off the ensemble better in Discovery Season 3, because that's the strength of Star Trek, is usually the ensemble and how all the characters work together. And when and then Picard had a stronger ensemble, and it was called Picard. You know what I mean? I mean, we were almost criticized Picard for not having enough Picard in it. He would just like be doing his own thing, and it wouldn't focus nearly as much on him as you'd think when a show's named after him. And then so we got Star Trek Discovery, which is named after the ship, and then it's almost always focused on Michael Burnham. So I really hope they do a better job at like balancing that. So that's my big hope for Season 3. As long as they can balance that and write good stories, I should be much better spirits about it. So, and hopefully we'll be more hopeful, because they're trying to restore the Federation in this dreary future where the Federation's basically dead. So, fingers crossed that it'll be a much better season. And it's Season 3. That's usually when Star Trek starts turning its corner. So,
we can only hope, right?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, if you have different thoughts, or if you want to chime in, you can always shoot us an email. Shoot us an email at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can also join us at our Facebook page. Our Facebook group page is Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. You can hit us up on Twitter as well. At our Twitter tag is Synthaholic Duo. And if the show is something you'd like to support, please go to our Patreon.com/Synthaholics, and you can donate there. We've got 2 more episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks, so I can only hope that these are going to be awesome episodes, and that we're going to be more intrigued to what might happen for a second season. I wonder if we'll even get a teaser for a second season when that at the end of the 10th episode.
Probably not. Well, I mean, maybe. I think they did order the 2 seasons together, so maybe. Who knows? I mean, we might be seeing Season 2 of Lower Decks before we see anything else. Like, before we see Season 4 of...
yeah, right. Yeah. All the live action stuff takes a lot more effort to, obviously...
And with coronavirus,
yeah,
that's probably a lot harder to do. And then with the... with animation, people can work on their cells and whatever remotely, and then do voice acting remotely too. So, I mean, that should be hopefully what's coming next after Season 3 of Discovery. So,
Lower Decks.
More Lower Decks.
All right, guys. Well, until then, we'll find out. But yes, Lower Decks again for another 2 weeks, and then we're into Discovery Season 3.
And then hopefully back into The Expanse. Woo! For those of you who are waiting for us to get back to The Expanse.
Well, live long and prosper, one and all.
Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Woo!
Cool.
I wonder if there's any
Good.
other cameos for other characters in the next 2 episodes.
I would bet there would be. Yeah. I don't know.
Watch it'll be Picard.
And you do realize that the guy who voices Boimler is Jack Quaid, the character in Huey in The Boys.
Oh, really?
It's the same guy.
Huey Lewis and the Voids?
Huey, no. Huey, what's his name? Huey Campbell or something like that?
Yeah.
From The Boys? Yeah.
Oh, Huey. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
He's the one that girlfriend got killed.
Yeah,
by,
yeah, Huey, yeah. That's hilarious. I didn't realize.
Who plays Boimler.
I didn't even realize that. That's pretty funny.
It's hilarious. Ah, it's good stuff.
So much Star Trek stuff coalescing because you get, I guess, 3 Star Trek alums and the boys. You got the Boimler, you got Scotty, and you got Bones.
I know. It's funny. He'll probably be like, "Hey, Carl Urban, I'm going to do the Star Trek thing. Don't worry."
Oh, you know what? You know who Homelander reminds me of? Vic Mignogna.
That's hilarious.
Doesn't he kind of remind you of Vic? I mean, it's I get the hair and the way he looks a little bit. I don't know.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I guess a little bit.